what's not on the internet, what doesn't go through the internet today. If you buy a plane ticket, you find the best price for your destination. It connects to the company, which connects to the airport, makes a schedule. You have libraries, art, music, cinema. Your working place is connected, so when you go there, you read mails. If you check in, you probably have something which is connected online and goes to a server. You can even become a nurse and much else online by studying the theoretical bits online and then do the practical skill training at where you ought to do it in a hospital or something. So a nurse, it's okay for a nurse to get educated online, but if a parent studies what's in vaccines, where vaccines are made and the history of vaccines, and they question something, that is wrong because they did it on the internet. While the nurse might have just gotten the information of, when the baby is 12 months, do this. When it's 18 months, do that. Put this needle in, squeeze it in real firmly, and so on. Now, it's a perfect excuse for people to say that, oh, it's on the internet. And sadly, even young people are using that. It's becoming the new sort of conspiracy theory buzzword, where you can just leave it, step aside, and say, hey, it's on the internet. There are some crazy theories on the internet, because the internet is a horrible place of crazy people, and the world, the real world, or the world away from keyboard, is such a lovely place. There are no wars, there is no corruption, no suffering, no murdering, no nothing sinister at all. All people away from keyboard are really nice. So the internet in itself is innately some sort of evil place. I mean, it's stupid. The internet is just a way of relaying information, communication, services, and logistics. But still, I'm kind of pondering on this, why people use that. For example, they read a headline from a newspaper which was around before the internet came to the wider audience. So it must be more trustworthy, like an old wise man or something. And they read the headline, maybe the first part of the text, and if you notice, there are never any sources given, because it comes from the newspaper, which was around before the time of the internet. So sources, come on, they have this Olympian kind of honest, decent, godlike journalists working for the big newspapers and so on. While you, on the other hand, might find some books, some credible information, research. You might make a blog post, a video, 10-minute video, or write for a news site which was born on the internet. Imagine that. A place for information which was born on the internet. How horrible isn't that? How can you trust a place like that? So you do something on an issue, and you put some information there, quotes and references and so on, which people can look for themselves, find the sources. But that is not enough, basically. And let's say you share a 10-minute video where somebody has really done a good job, and you want to share that video because it's 10 to 15 minutes, and you don't want to give them a book because they won't read the book. People don't have time for that, especially if you give them something which they are not prone to have a natural interest in. So you just want to give them an overview. But a 10-minute video, which is done really well, I mean, it's from the internet and it's on YouTube. I mean, are you saying that you can actually learn something or get informed through YouTube? Sadly, that's the case. And this is the new kind of mind programming. It's one of those new barriers which people have, of a good excuse basically of not allowing yourself to be responsible and get informed if you're interested in something, or if even somebody brings up a topic and expect you to talk about it from a mainstream headline sort of point of view, and you don't, that's when it gets so, oh, you get your information on the internet. People above 30 I can understand, 40, 50. I'm not saying people above 30 don't know how to use the internet, but I can understand it because I remember a time before the internet. But when young people do it, that's crazy, because they were born in the age of internet, and they should understand that it's just a quicker way of exchanging whatever is already exchanged in the real world, in the world away from the keyboard or the smartphone. There you have it. You can see this many times when somebody is talking about something. Oh, so that person just saw a few YouTube videos, read something online, and now they have a different opinion compared to these institutions and these people. And I don't know those people, but they gave me the information, they gave me the headlines and no sources. I trust them. They were around before the internet. I think that education for young kids, which I've looked into, is very centered around, the critical thinking, like, being critical of information you read online. There's talk about this, especially for young people. And as I said, I'm surprised that they are using the term "you read it on the internet," because they were born in this time. Everything they ever done has been on the internet. They get this sort of critical thinking, how we say, courses or education, which is based around the point that in the end, it must be coming from some institution, some news agency which has been around, which is hopefully or if it's publicly funded, then it's better because it comes from the tax money, so it means it's for you, the people who took your money and invested in that public service or department or wherever. They have done it for your best interest. So don't think, just go back. It's like some sort of sport, where you learn tactics, like, now you go on defense. If that and that happens, you go to this formation. So that was that. There's no point in just talking more about this. It's quite common, but the internet is being censored. You have the direct censorship like China, which is obvious. You have the indirect censorship here in the West by search rankings. You have Hollywood interests suing Swedish providers for what sites they should let through and not, which is crazy because it's not even a Swedish entity. It's from the United States, but hey. So we have that censorship, which is, you can be aware of it. It's direct, you can see it. But you have this sort of censorship of the mind in relation to the internet, like, oh, you read that on the internet. Because I was told in school, the big headlines from the newspapers which were around before the internet said this to me. I read that the whole life, and now you're saying something else, and your enlightenment came from the internet, so you must be crazy. This kind of censorship. So yeah, anyway, have a great weekend. Take care. All the best. Ciao.